Akai Professional has recently released firmware version 2.3. In this firmware, we have the ability to sample external synthesizers into the MPC Live, and we can do this without the use of the computer, completely in standalone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to connect an external synthesizer into your MPC Live. This way we can use the auto sample feature of the new firmware. Check it out. All right, so here we have it. This is the rear panel on the MPC Live, the rear panel on the Digitone. All right, so basically you're gonna need a couple different types of cables to do this. Okay, so you're gonna need your Midi cable, and you're gonna need your regular audio cables, okay? And then you're gonna set up the output into your speakers like normal on the MPC. So if you look right here, we got Midi out on the MPC. If you look right here, we have Midi in. So what I'm going to do is put Midi out. Right here, I'm using Midi out port A. Okay. And then I want to take the other end of that cable and put it to the Midi in of the Digitone. Okay. So this is going to send signals from your MPC to your Digitone, and these are Midi signals. Okay. So then the next thing you want to do is take your cable, your regular stereo cable. Okay. And I'm going to put this into the output, right output, left output. Okay, so that's going out of the Digitone, and it's going to come right in to the MPC Live here, just like so. So after you do that, you want to make sure you're right here. Let's see if you can see it. There's a switch right here. It's going to say phono, or it's going to say line. You want to make sure it says line, so switch it on line. And of course, you know, if you want to hear what you're doing, you want to put your outputs into your speakers or your headphones. So you're going to do that right here. All right, so now we have all the outputs and the inputs set up. So now we could take a look at the top panel of these bad boys, and we can go ahead and sample our synthesizer. All right, so go ahead and look at my Digitone. So I'm going to load a preset in here, and the first preset I'm going to use is Body Bass EA. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load that. Push yes, it's loaded in there. All right. So now that we got the setup out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the MPC. I'm going to go ahead and load an empty project. In the empty project, I'm going to select a MIDI track. I'm going to rename this MIDI program. I'm going to rename it Body Bass, because that's what the preset is called. Do it. All right, you can see right here, I have a MIDI program. It's called Body Bass, okay? So now I'm going out MIDI port A, which is where I plugged the MIDI cable into, is MIDI port out A. And then I'm going on channel 1, okay? So it's important to recognize that this is going out port A, channel 1. Over here on the Digitone, you want to have that to receive channel 1. Okay, so by default, the first track is channel 1. Very simple, straightforward. So now that we named this and we're going out of channel 1 here, let's go ahead and go to menu. We'll go to sampler. So once we get to the sampler here, we make sure that the inputs are set to 1 and 2, which they should be by default. 1 and 2, that's where we plugged in the inputs of the Digitone. And then we want the stereo input, and we can monitor it here to get our levels straight, okay? So I push monitor here, and we can hear it. Let me go ahead and put the bank up. So one thing you might want to do is just push full level, so you can get that full sound, okay? Because you don't want this to be clipped. All right, so if it goes past 0 here, you just go to that knob in the back and turn down the input. Or if it's low, you could turn it up. You don't want it like that. You know what I'm saying? Just turn it down, get it a moderate level to where it's not clipping. I would say you're probably safe with between -9 and -3, but somewhere thereabouts should be okay. So now we got our input set up. We can hear our preset here. Now you can hear it's like a one-shot sound, you know what I'm saying? There's no sustain, it hits and it decays. So here is the new little button that we got on the 2.3 update. You can see up here, there's like a little keyboard with a plus sign. So if you tap that, we get Autosampler. So you can see here track name 01, program name body bass. Now you can see it took the program name of that MIDI track. So it's important to have that MIDI track selected before you go into the sampler. All right, you want to record from input 1 and 2, okay? Then we got note range. It's going to record from C2 to C4. So you got the min note, C2, max note, C4, okay? So note stride. Basically, if you put the note stride on 1, it's going to record every single note between C2 and C4. So that's going to take a lot of resources if you have long notes. But for this example, I'm going to leave it on 1. And then you have here extend min max notes. I want to take it off. But basically, if I left that on, once I hit C4, it's going to keep adding C4 to any notes above that and use that particular sample for C4 for all the notes above it. And it's going to use C2 for all the notes underneath it. It could be kind of confusing if you're not familiar with key groups, but that's what it does. All right, so velocity layers, so you can have 4 different layers. All right, I'm going to leave it on 1, but basically, you know, synthesizers react differently per how hard you hit the note or how much velocity that you're sending to it. Basically, it just gives you a more fuller sound to the original synthesizer if you have all these layers up, but it also takes more resources. For this particular sound, I think 1 layer is fine. So I'm going to leave it on 1 layer. So the next section we have here is sampling. So this is going to be, you know, as long as your note is. You see note length. So this is going to be the length of your note. I'm going to put it on this, okay? 2000 milliseconds. Okay? In the tail, there's not really a tail, but just to be safe, I'm going to put it on 500 milliseconds. So basically what this does is when it's sampling, now it's the auto sampler, so when it's sampling automatically, it's going to hold that note down for 2000 milliseconds, and then it's going to release it, and it's going to keep recording for 500 milliseconds. All right, so if you have a long decay, you want to amp this up higher. And this is just going to name, you know, the bass notes for you, okay? All right, so now we got looping. So basically here, I'm going to turn this off. So I'm going to tap into there and turn it off because we don't need this because the note is just, it's just 1 note. It's just hitting once and then that's it. There's no need to loop it. And I'm going to tap this on completion, make current program. So what it's going to do, it's going to take track 1, it's going to replace it with this particular key group, okay? And then right here, info 60 seconds, okay, so that's how long it's basically going to take to record everything. It's going to take 60 seconds to complete the whole process of recording the auto sample. I think we're set up. Let's try it. Okay. Now you can hear it's going through every single note that I told it to go through. So it's going to take basically 60 seconds to complete this process. All right. So basically what I gathered is sending MIDI to your synthesizer and the synthesizer's sending the audio to your MPC and recording it, okay? So every note that you're hearing is being recorded. All right, it's done. It did what we told it to do. So you can see right here, it puts track 1 as a key group now, okay? And here's our key group, body bass auto sampled. So let's go ahead and push some notes, see what it sounds like. So let's go ahead, actually, let's look at the grid here. And let's go ahead and get to the range that we sampled, because remember, we only sampled a particular range. Okay, you can see C2. right, so this is the root note, okay? And then it keeps going, so let's go ahead and go up. And C4, okay? So now, when I tap the next note, it shouldn't sound. And it doesn't, see? Because we only sampled from C2 to C4. See what I'm saying? So if we go back to menu and we go to our program edit, we can see right here, that's where it's sampled. So we only have samples for those particular notes, and we should have a key group. You can see right here, key group. We should have a key group for every sample. You can see. So let's go back to that first one. All right, so C2, that's our first key group. Okay, C sharp 2, that's our second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. You know, all the way up to where we sampled. You can see, nothing. But we successfully auto-sampled a key group. We told it to do it, it did it, no problems. No problems at all. All right, so that's our first example. So let's go ahead, we'll go to track 2, go back to Midi Program, and we want to add a new Midi program, okay? So this is important because you want to rename this Midi program to Zeta Bass or whatever the next program is that you want to put in, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that next preset is. So let's go ahead and load that preset. Okay, so now that we're done with that example, I'm going to go ahead and load up a different preset. So go ahead and check this out. I'm going to go in and load up Zeta Bass. Okay, that's number, or let's say it's A118, okay? Push yes, that's gonna load that up. Okay, so now we're gonna use this particular bass. So all the sounds that you hear are going to be coming from that bass. So now we got this MIDI 2, I'm gonna rename this. Do it, come back. Okay, so now whenever we go ahead and auto sample this sound, it's gonna give it that name, you know what I mean? And basically leave all this the same, okay? Go to menu, go to sampler, and let's go ahead and, you know, set our levels here. Still looking pretty good. So I'm not gonna mess with the levels right now, but I am gonna change the settings here because, actually let's go back. If I hold this down, that note sustains, okay? So it's not like that little one boop and it's over, it sustains out, right? You know what I'm saying? So we got a little bit of sustain on that. So let's go back to our sampler. Okay, so now the settings are going to be a little bit different. All right, so let's actually do this. I want to put this actually to C1 because it's kind of a bass. I mean, we might want to go a little bit lower with the sounds, you know what I'm saying? So I'll put that C1. I'll even put it a little higher. Maybe we want to go higher too. I'll put it C5. C5 there. I'll put note stride. So instead of having one sound for every note, I'm going to make it 6. Do it. Then I'm going to extend the max and minimum notes. Okay. I'm just going to do one layer again. And let's go ahead and extend. You know what? We can keep the note length the same. I think 2 seconds should be good. I think the tail should be good there. Actually, that should be fun. You know. It does, the sound does cut off at the end pretty fast, but just in case, put a little tail on that. And that's what the samples are gonna be named. Let's go ahead and turn looping on, actually. You wanna loop forwards for this example. This way we can use this X fade. All right, so X-Fade is like crossfade. It's a new feature in the 2.3. All right, so basically it just makes looping smoother. So whenever you hold down that note, when it loops back, it's just gonna make a smooth transition. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep this on. And we'll go ahead, maybe put 5,000 samples. All right, and then here put auto trim start. I'm going to leave that on just in case, you know, there's some silence or there's something at the beginning of the sample. It basically sets the start point for you automatically. It's not perfect, but it does work most of the time. All right, so on completion, make current program, sure. Info, 20 seconds. So it should take 20 seconds to complete this entire rotation. Okay. You can hear, those are the lowest notes, okay? Ta-da! All right, all done. So when I push this, should be good. Now you can hear how that's continuous, right? You know what I'm saying? It's continuous. Now you can hear where it loops. It's pretty obvious, right? But if you experimented with that, you could probably get like a very smooth transition. You know what I'm saying? So if you go, you know, to your menu, sample edit, you can see here, it's where it's looping. All right, that's the whole sample. And that's what it sounds like when it's looping. You could play, you know, you can play with this X fader and the start and end point of the loop, you know, and basically close it. It might sound better. Let's see. You can see how it sounds a little smoother. So yeah, that's what X-Fade does. Crossfade. So there you go. So track 1 is now this key group, which was sampled off of the Digitone. And track 2 is now Zeta bass. You know, you got that bass sound there. Man, it still sounds good. Even though I'm using one sample for 6 notes, it still sounds decent. All right, I hope that this makes sense, okay? I know this could be challenging to understand, and it's actually challenging to try to explain it, not knowing how much background information you have about key groups, but hopefully I did a good job in doing it. If nothing else, just follow the steps, you know what I'm saying? And just do it a few times and you'll kind of get there. You'll kind of understand how to do it. And once these are done, you can actually save these. So if you push there, you can save current program, you know what I'm saying? And this is my, you know, programs folder here, right? So I could just push save. Boom, now I have that. So if I come back to browser, places, internal, you know what I'm saying? MPC documents, programs, yeah, programs right there, Zeta bass auto sampled. So now I can pull this into any of my projects. So therefore I can unplug all this, you know what I'm saying? Unplug the power cable, unplug everything. Boom, boom, boom. I have samples from my Digitone right there. All right, there you have it. This is the new auto program feature of the MPC Live 2.3 software. I was really excited about this feature, so I wanted to share it with you. I'll probably cover some of the other features later, but you know, I'm working probably 52 hours next week. You know, you got the holiday coming up, so I got to work my normal 40 plus a little holiday, so I might not be able to get through all the things, but I wanted to at least get this one thing out there for you guys, because I could totally, you know what I'm saying, turn this off. And right there, I have sounds from the Digitone. All right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to make it quick and dirty for you guys. I'll cover more of the 2.3 update as I go. I'm just trying to get this stuff out there for you. Go ahead and check out some of my playlists if you haven't. I'll put some cards throughout this video, and you can go ahead and check out some of my playlists. I appreciate you guys. Peace out.